Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Financing Your Lake Forest MBA. My name is Sarah Monroe and I'm the Manager of Campus Admissions at the Lake Forest campus. Our presentation today will last about 40 minutes. In the first half, we'll talk about the value of your educational investments and walk you through the basics of tuition planning options. We'll also share a few example scenarios that will help you think about your own situation. In the second half, we'll discuss the answers to frequently asked questions about tuition planning. We encourage you to ask questions, and we will do our best to answer them during the Q&A portion of this presentation. You can ask questions by typing them in the question box located on the right-hand side of your computer screen. During the presentation, we ask that you mute your phone to reduce background noise. You can do this by pressing *6 or your phone's mute button now. The purpose of our conversation with you today is to give you the basic information you need to begin the tuition planning process. But today's presentation is just one of the ways you can learn. At the end of the presentation, we'll provide you with a list of next steps and contact information for our team, and we invite you to answer a brief question on how we may best follow up with you. Today, we hope that you will learn the right questions to ask, and when you're ready, we'll be happy to set up a personal meeting with you. Thanks. Now let's meet our panelists. Carrie Hamlin.
Hello, Sarah.
Hi. Carrie is the Associate Director of Financial Aid, and she'll be here during our Q&A to answer questions about the financial aid, veterans benefits, and scholarships. Welcome. Malcolm Douglas will be our main presenter today. Malcolm is a 1999 graduate of the Lake Forest MBA program, and he is currently the VP of Finance and Administration at the school. Hello, Malcolm.
Hi, Sarah.
And now to get us started, I've asked Carolyn Bruni, Director of Admissions, to answer a few questions about the MBA program overall. Welcome, Carolyn.
Hi, Sarah.
So, Carolyn, there are many reasons why people decide to earn their MBA. For instance, many may want to increase their marketability, many may want to take their career to a new level, and some just love to learn. There are obviously lots of great reasons, but we all know that these are challenging economic times. How do you know when it's the right time to make that investment?
Well, that's a good question, Sarah. Actually, in this competitive environment, it's really more important than ever to be a well-rounded business person. And as a business school, what we do is we interact and do research on a variety of corporations in the area on a regular basis. We look at everyone from Abbott to ITW, Allstate, Motorola, and big or small, no matter the industry, we really see a common trend. And what we see is that most companies are going through some type of reorganization to reignite growth and to be innovative and to be more competitive in this challenging environment, especially with all the global competition. So my guess is that is true for most of the companies of the people who are on the phone today. Companies are changing their organization charts and they're taking a fresh look at their talent, and the criteria to succeed really has changed in the last few years.
That's an interesting point, Carolyn. Could you elaborate a bit more?
Well, yeah, it used to be that if you were great in your function, like a great engineer or a great salesperson or IT person, that was good enough and you were safe and you could see what it took to rise in your function, and it was clear, but maybe not necessarily an easy path to that executive suite. But really, with all the disruption in the economy, certain qualities are really now in demand. We found through our research is that organizations want broad thinkers and strong leaders, and that's really what we teach at Lake Forest Graduate School of Management.
So, Carolyn, the phrase broad thinkers and strong leaders is used a lot here at Lake Forest. What exactly do you mean by broad thinkers and strong leaders?
Well, what I mean is that kind of companies are looking for four things that we feel fall under the kind of broad thinkers and strong leaders. One is who has the flexibility to adjust and kind of thrive, and the agility to take on those different roles and responsibilities as new strategies need to be executed. Two, in the times of uncertainty, who are those folks who not only embrace change but can really be change leaders? Three is who is aligning their work to the strategy of the organization, or better yet, who can really create new strategies that grow the company? And four, who are those effective collaborators, that is the folks who not only understand the point of view of their department, but can see the perspective from every other department. And that is really what companies are looking for, and that is what we mean by broad thinkers and strong leaders.
Great, Carolyn. Thanks for the clarification. And how else is enrolling in an MBA program now a good investment? What about the students who have to finance their own MBA?
Well, first of all, if you are financing part of your MBA, rest assured that you're not alone. In fact, 1 out of 3 of our current students use a loan to pay for either all or part of their MBA. But the good thing is that payback on your investment can start really from day one. In your first course, you're going to meet classmates who will instantly expand your network to companies throughout the area. And you'll become part of the Lake Forest MBA family, and we have over 8,000 alumni. When people see on your resume that you are a Lake Forest MBA student, it really signals to those current and potential employers that you are graduate school caliber, you're committed to continually growing as a business professional, and that's important. And you'll make a stronger contribution to work as you apply what you're learning in class. So really, the faster you get your MBA, the sooner your investment pays out, and the longer time you'll have to benefit.
That's a great point. I like how you refer to the MBA as an investment. I know there have been recent changes to our offerings and to our admissions policies. Can you give our audience an update?
Yes, I can. In fact, in response to needs of our students, we're really building in more flexibility with the option to make up classes kind of at other times or online if you're going to miss your regular scheduled class time. We recently extended our MBA program to include a daytime MBA. We're also very excited about adding some online courses that will allow students to complete either part of their MBA degree online or in the future maybe all of their MBA online. With these new additions, you can complete your Lake Forest MBA by taking classes then in the evening, on the weekend, during the day, and online. So we do allow you the flexibility of combining the different class offerings to suit your schedule. The exciting thing is students can finish their MBA in as little as 18 months, or if they need to slow it down a little bit, they can go at their own pace as well. Some of the admission changes, last year we revised our GMAT policy. So while we still accept the GMAT, we also accept other qualifications in lieu of the GMAT. So if you want more information on this, you can contact the admissions office for more details, and I know we'll have information on how to do that later. And one last change I want to mention is our new specializations. So in addition to our current global specialization and our organizational behavior specialization, we're also adding healthcare, marketing, and finance.
Thanks, Carolyn. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Malcolm Douglas.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm glad you've joined us today to learn more about how to finance your Lake Forest MBA. Let's go through some basic information first of all. Our current tuition is $2,932 per course, and there's a total of 16 units in the program. Your tuition each term is dependent upon the number of units that you're taking for that particular term. One nice benefit of the Lake Forest MBA is that you have the option to defer payment for up to 2 weeks after completing a class if you have tuition reimbursement. This does carry a small finance charge, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. Lake Forest also offers several foreign study elective practicums. These courses do carry an additional fee, and if you're planning on taking one of these courses, we can help you finance the tuition and cost of travel associated with that. Over the years, we've identified 5 major sources of funds that are available to you to finance your MBA. We're going to spend some time going through each form of financing to give you an understanding of what each entails and to help you ask the right questions. At Lake Forest, we've had years of experience developing personal financing plans that meet each individual student needs. As we go into more detail in each option, keep in mind that most students use a combination of these resources to pay for their program of study. We'll start off with tuition reimbursement, as the vast majority of our students qualify for some form of tuition reimbursement from their employer. Whether you work for a large company with a well-established tuition reimbursement program or a smaller employer where tuition reimbursement is not as well developed, take the time to learn more about the benefits your employer offers, as this may form the backbone of your financing plan. It's also a good idea to consider when your employer's fiscal year starts. Years ago, the IRS established a level of educational assistant benefits, that's what they call tuition reimbursement, that could be excluded from the recipient's income. The level was set at $5,250 a year, and unfortunately this has not increased, at least in the last couple of decades. Many employers peg their tuition assistance to this arbitrary amount. It's not to say that all companies offer this level. some may offer more generous benefits, and in fact some employers have no annual limits. The point here is your employer probably offers some amount of benefit, and the more informed you are, the better prepared you will be to develop a financing plan. We suggest contacting your HR department for more details, obtaining a copy of the reimbursement policy and reading it carefully. Something to remember is that many employers require approvals that could take several weeks. So it's better to plan ahead to avoid surprises. While we're talking about tuition reimbursement, many employers will reimburse a student only after the course is complete and they've received their grade card. We recognize that students may wish to defer payment for the course until they receive funds from their employer. For this reason, we offer a tuition deferment program that allows you to defer payment until the end of a course. How this works is that once a student provides us with evidence that they qualify for their employer's reimbursement program, we put you on a deferment plan, meaning payment is deferred until 2 weeks after the class ends. There is a fee for this program, and it amounts to 9% per year on the outstanding balance of your account, and this generally amounts to a monthly charge of about $22. Another popular option for financing your MBA is to take out a loan. We term this type of option financial aid. Now, some of you may be thinking you don't qualify for financial aid because of your level of income, the amount of savings you've accumulated, perhaps the balance on your 401k plan, or maybe even your credit score. None of these factors influence your ability to take out a loan to pay for your education. None of them. You may be in a position to pay for most of your entire MBA program from savings. Remember, this will not affect your ability to take out a loan. In fact, more than 98% of students who choose to take out a loan are eligible. And we have many, many students who take out a loan. More than 1/3 of students currently studying for their MBA use financial aid to finance all or a portion of their education at Lake Forest. Here's some additional information that you may find helpful. Loan repayment only begins 6 months after you graduate, so you don't have to make any payments while you're studying. And once you graduate, you have up to 10 years to repay the loan. Now, I stated earlier that over 98% of students applying for financial aid are eligible to take out a loan. I'm going to talk a little bit about the circumstances that could prevent you from qualifying. First, in order to qualify for a loan, you must either be a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. Permanent resident status is often defined as having a green card. Second, you cannot be in default on previous student loans. If you still have loans outstanding from an undergraduate or master's degree, this in itself will not disqualify you from receiving loans for an MBA. There's also a maximum permissible loan amount that can be outstanding at any point in time. So if you have previous student loans and are not sure how much you owe, we can help you find out that information. Third, the last requirement, which applies only to males, is to have registered for selective service. Now, there may be some of you attending this webinar today that entered the U.S. as a young adult. Your circumstances may exempt you from having to register for selective service. Please note that being in active bankruptcy does not automatically disqualify you from receiving a student loan. Once again, the purpose of this session today is to help you ask the right questions about financing your MBA and then to speak with one of our admissions representatives. Let's talk about scholarships next. We're proud to be able to offer selected scholarships to eligible students. This option may be a part of your financing strategy, but you'll probably not be able to rely on scholarships to pay for your entire MBA. The scholarships we do offer are all self-funded, meaning that Lake Forest goes out and raises funds on our students' behalf. Last year, we awarded over $140,000 in scholarships to about 70 students. Obviously, this is a limited source of funding for several reasons. The amount of funding is limited by our ability to raise funds and the generosity of our donors. Secondly, only about 10% of our students receive an award. The third reason is that the average award is about $600 per class. And finally, we only award scholarships to students that demonstrate the greatest financial need. One final word on scholarships. we've done a lot of research on the web to find non-Lake Forest funded scholarships for our students. And what we found is, regardless of where you attend business school, there are very few scholarships available for graduate business programs. We also found that recipients generally have to meet specific criteria to receive an award. So while you may have heard that there are many scholarships available, the reality is, in our experience, they cannot be depended upon to pay for your program. The next source of financing is through veterans benefits. There are several programs we use that offer benefits for veterans. The GI Bill, the post 9/11 GI Bill, and we also participate in the Yellow Ribbon program, a program that covers 100% of the price of tuition. If you think that you may qualify for veterans benefits, or if you think you may be able to transfer benefits from an eligible family member, please contact one of our admissions counselors so we can set up an appointment for you to talk with Terry. Before we look at specific examples, let's look at the components we consider when determining the amount of loan funds you are eligible for. First of all, there's tuition. We calculate how much you require for tuition by multiplying tuition by the number and type of courses you'll be taking during the academic year. We then subtract any amount that you'll receive from your employer's tuition reimbursement. We subtract any amounts that you'll receive for scholarships. And then each student is eligible for a living allowance equal to $4,120 for each term that you attend. This gives us the amount of funds that you're eligible for. Note that the maximum amount of funds you may borrow in any single academic year is limited to $20,500. So let's go over some examples to give you a better idea of how you may go about financing your MBA. Here are hypothetical scenarios designed to give you a general idea. Jack has enrolled in the Lake Forest MBA, and he's taking one course per term. During the academic year, he'll take a total of 4 courses. His employer will reimburse him $5,250 a year towards his tuition, and Jack will need to finance the remaining portion of his tuition using financial aid. So if we go to the components, first of all, we've got tuition. Jack's tuition for the academic year is $11,728. There's a materials fee of $200 and a textbook fee. Now the textbook fee is an average. It depends on each course, but we'll average it out at $80 per course, giving us $320. Jack receives $5,250 in tuition reimbursement, so we'll deduct that. And for purposes of this example, Jack will not receive any scholarship funds. This gives us a subtotal of $6,998, which Jack needs in order to cover tuition. And he's also eligible for a living allowance equal to $16,480. So total eligibility, if you add those two amounts up, is $22,958. As I mentioned before, this is limited to $20,500 per year. Now, Jack doesn't need a living allowance, but he does have a need for a laptop. So Jack requests a total amount of $7,798 in financial aid. He needs $6,998 for tuition and $800 for a laptop. Let's take a look at one other scenario. Kathy has enrolled in the Lake Forest MBA over a 3-year period. During the academic year, she will take a total of 6 courses, and her employer will reimburse her $1,500 a year for tuition. Kathy needs to finance the remaining portion of her tuition with financial aid. Let's take a look at the 4 components used to calculate eligibility. We've got tuition. Kathy's tuition for the year is $17,592. We've got a materials fee of $300, textbook fee of $480. Kathy receives $1,500 in tuition reimbursement, and she also receives $600 in scholarship funds. So this gives Kathy a total of $16,272, which is needed to cover tuition and fees. She's eligible for a living allowance of $16,480, Once again, there's a limit on this of $20,500. Now, Kathy does not need a living allowance, but she does have child care expenses. So she requests $16,272 to finance her tuition and an additional $1,000 for child care expenses for a total loan of $17,272. Let's talk a little bit more about a financial aid timeline here. For those of you interested in exploring it more, there are four main stages to the financial aid process at Lake Forest. And this process needs to be completed each academic year that you apply for financial aid. And the financial aid application consists of 4 sub-processes. You should be able to complete the initial application process within a week. The first is to complete your online FAFSA application. This is where you'll need to provide specific information taken from your latest tax return that includes income, number of dependents, and other information about your assets. You next complete a direct lending master promissory note. You have to do this once during your entire loan period. You complete an online entrance counseling session. Then you also complete Lake Forest tuition reimbursement verification form if you have tuition reimbursement from your employer. And you should be able to complete the application process in about 1 week. Approximately 2 weeks after you submit your application, you'll receive an award letter via email from us indicating your loan eligibility. And then you'll complete your award letter by indicating the amount of the loan you wish to receive and faxing this back to us. It takes about, after 2 to 3 weeks after we receive your award letter, your funds will be received at the school and applied to your student account. And if there's any remaining balance on your account, we'll refund you any amount that you have requested towards your living expenses or other expenses that you need to cover. So if you're planning on beginning the program in April, you have time to start the process, but I would recommend that you begin planning now so that you can get all your questions answered, because having a financing plan in place reduces the anxiety of returning to school, allowing you to focus on your studies. I've got one final slide that I'd like to show you, and these are tax benefits that are available for higher education expenses, and I'm just going to briefly talk about these. There's 2. They're tax credits. There's the American Opportunity Tax Credit, and there's a Lifetime Learning Tax Credit. And the amount that any of you would qualify for depends upon income limits. So the higher your level of income, the lower the level of benefit. But as you can see there, these 2 credits could qualify you for up to $2,000 in a tax credit that will reduce your tax bill. Obviously, if you need more information about this, you can either consult the website at irs.gov or talk to your tax accountant or tax advisor. And that concludes my portion of today's presentation, and I'd now like to turn it back to Sarah.
Thanks, Malcolm. At this point in time, I'd like to open the conversation up to you. As a reminder, in addition to Malcolm Douglas, we also have Terry Hamlin on the line to answer your scholarship, financial aid, and veterans benefits questions. If you do have a question, please type in the question box located on the right-hand side of your computer screen. And to start, we did get a few questions submitted during the webinar, and Carolyn Bruni, Director of Admissions, will take those.
Do you want to give me some of the questions here so everybody can kind of hear the question?
Absolutely. So one of the questions we got here was, where is the external objective data that supports the discussion? And this was back in the very beginning, the discussion between Carolyn Bruni and myself with the
Certainly. Yeah, I know in the beginning I talked about some of the research that we do, and in our most recent curriculum review, we did reach out to a lot of kind of companies in the area because we want to make sure we keep our curriculum current and we want to develop our kind of learning competencies. So we went out and personally interviewed over 60 C-level executives in the Chicago area. In addition, we surveyed some 500 professional managers, and we got a lot of findings from that, some of which I shared with you, but kind of what we found is there were really 3 things that that people are looking for when they're hiring MBA level students, and that's that they want people who really know the business, so they really want to understand what's going on in business. They're looking for people who can relate to people, who have those kind of leadership skills that we teach in the program. And then finally, it's very important that people are be able to deliver results.
Okay, great. And Stephen also asked a question about the ROI for this type of investment. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, we do have some information back from a recent alumni survey that we just did, and I have a couple things there I can share with you. 97% of the alumni surveyed did say that LFGSM was a smart investment in their career. And then we also found that on average, after 3 to 5 years of graduation, our alumni reported about a 30% increase in salary. So those are some ROI that I have to share.
Okay, great. We do have a question from Elaine. Elaine mentioned, Carolyn, that you had spoke of the 18-month MBA program, and she wanted to have a little bit more information in terms of that program itself and cost.
It's essentially the program that we offer now. We have it so that you can take more courses at a time, because we have always had classes in the summer, but we've added more courses in the summer, so there will be some kind of additional terms and options to take classes. So would be more than happy to answer your questions kind of one-on-one, but it's essentially the same program that we're offering now. It's just with the ability to take more classes per year by offering additional classes in the summer.
Okay, and here's a question for Terry. We did have a question from Valerie, and she's asking, is it possible to finance just part of the portion that she would pay?
Oh, certainly. Very often students use student aid, financial aid, to supplement their tuition reimbursement or supplement what they're going to pay out of pocket. Very often a student would take out a loan simply for what tuition reimbursement doesn't cover. We'll have students who will go through the first year or two, and then they decide to double up and find that they need a little help with the extra class load. It's a very flexible situation, and we work to structure whatever financial aid you need with your needs and your class schedule.
Okay, and she further asked, does she have to apply to get the money right away, or is this something that she could possibly finance in 1 to 2 years in?
Oh, you can finance it whenever the need comes up. You can start financial aid at that point. We have students who are into the program and decide all of a sudden, as I say, they want to double up, or their financial situation has changed and they decide they're going to use the student loan. So you don't have to sign up for financial aid at the very beginning. It's completely up to you, your schedule, and your needs.
Right. And this would probably be more geared towards Carolyn. We did have a question regarding the laptop used for the school. Is there a school-provided laptop, or can you have any type of laptop from any source?
Students can really use their own laptop, so there isn't a specific school-provided laptop. I mean, I think that you'll find that you'll certainly need access to a laptop or some type of computer to do your different assignments in class. Some people do prefer to use laptops for taking notes and kind of following along. Other people do not, so it's not an absolute requirement when you're actually in class, but it's certainly you'll need some access to a computer to do your assignment.
Yeah, and I just want to add, this is Malcolm speaking. I just used that as an example in developing your financing plan, just to indicate that sometimes there are other expenses that are non-tuition related expenses that you can borrow money, loan funds for, like laptops or child care. Those are just examples, but Terry could probably speak to other kinds of examples of things that you can borrow money for in order for you to come to the program.
Yeah, something that has come up with occasional students are additional transportation expenses. We'll have a student taking the Saturday program, and they decide they want to come in on a Friday night, stay overnight, be here early for class on Saturday. That can be included in their budget, but again, it falls under the maximum of $20,500 for the regular direct standard loan.
Okay, and this is a question for Carolyn. We have a question here from Chad. He's asking about the course tuition is $2,932 per course, and he's wondering how many courses to graduate. He heard that it was 16, but then if it's possible to take 6 courses per year, he was wondering if it's 18 or 16 to graduate?
There are 16 courses required to complete the program. There are 13 core courses and then 3 electives that you can choose, and if you want to, you can choose to specialize. Each term you have an option of how many classes you want to take. 2 classes would probably be considered a very full load, although some people might choose to take more than that, but 2 would really be considered a full load. And so that's, you kind of go at your own pace.
Okay, thanks, Carolyn. Terry, do you have any other questions that you wanted to speak to?
Just to refer to scholarship, Malcolm had mentioned that we have 2 scholarship cycles during the academic year. We have a deadline of 1 in the summer, and that would cover classes in the fall. And then we have another one with a deadline currently in January, and that would cover classes in the spring. So just for your information on how often that would occur.
Thanks, Terry. And one more question just came in. We have another question from Chad. He's wondering how many terms are offered per year. Carolyn, do you want to take that?
So starting next academic year, we will have 5 terms that you can opt to take either 1 or 2 or more classes in starting in the fall. Well, actually, even if you started in April, you could do that because you have the summer term. But starting next year, there'll be 5 academic terms.
Okay, great. Well, that concludes our questions that we have at this time. So the next step that we have here, it's to schedule an admissions appointment. The information is posted on the screen in front of you. And remember, we're always available if you also have any further questions. At the interview, you will have the opportunity to learn more about us and our program, and we can learn more about you as well. And it's perfectly acceptable to bring your personal financing questions to the admissions visit, and all information discussed will be kept confidential. In addition to booking an admissions appointment, we hope you will also take advantage of attending one of our preview events where you will have the opportunity to basically test drive the MBA. At the MBA Preview, you will hear a mini lecture on effective change leadership, have a chance to sit in on an actual classroom session, and hear firsthand accounts of the MBA experience from current students, alumni, and faculty. The URL is located on this slide, and I will personally be emailing all links discussed today, including the student loan calculator, FAFSA, and MBA Preview links. That concludes our webinar. Please take the time to respond to our question at the end of this recorded session so that we may know how to best follow up with you. Remember, our next start to the MBA program is April 9th, and we hope to see you all there.